10 years ago today, the Supreme Court issued one of its most consequential decisions to date. A man living here in Cincinnati at the time was at the center of that case and ultimately the fight for nationwide marriage equality. His name is Jim Obergefell, and this is his story.
Trisha Hart and Janet Phillips.
These couples are celebrating the 10th anniversary of marriage equality in the U.S. by renewing their vows at the American Sign Museum in Camp Washington.
My name is Jim Obergefell.
Their officiant, Jim Obergefell, is the face of the landmark Supreme Court case Obergefell v. Hodges that gave same-sex couples the right to marry in all 50 states.
John and I just wanted to exist. We wanted the state of Ohio, the place we called home, to see us, to recognize us.
Jim and his late husband, John Arthur, met at a bar just off UC's campus. In 2011, after more than 2 decades together, John was diagnosed with ALS. 2 years later, near the end of John's life, the couple chartered a medical plane, flew to Maryland, where same-sex marriage was legal, and got married on the tarmac at Baltimore-Washington International Airport.
We were on the tarmac for less than 45 minutes, flew back to Cincinnati, and that was it. That was all we wanted to do. We just wanted to get married. We wanted John to die a married man. That was it. We had no plans for anything else.
Cincinnati civil rights attorney Alger Hartstein heard about Jim and John's wedding shortly before they said, "I do." And just days after their big day, he sat down with them to discuss the legal reality of their situation, and he brought along a blank Ohio death certificate.
So that's the only paper I brought, because I could show them dramatically that the last record in the state of Ohio that talked about John Arthur would be wrong, and it would list him as single, and it would not list his surviving spouse. And that pissed him off.
And he asked us if we wanted to do something about it.
And I wanted to defer to whatever they wanted to do. I mean, they're grieving. They're saying goodbye.
Elle tells me we talked about it for less than a minute before saying yes.
First, Jim filed a federal lawsuit to ensure his name properly appeared on John's death certificate. The district court ruled in his favor, but Ohio appealed that decision, and a 3-judge panel sided with the state. That's when Alger Hartstein and his team appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Charlie Rose with Nora O'Donnell and Gail King in New York. A Supreme Court ruling announced minutes ago extends same-sex marriage in America. The justices ruled 5-4 that states do not have the right to outlaw same-sex unions. The High Court also ruled that all 50 states must recognize same-sex marriages performed in other states.
So when you think about June 26, 2015, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Joy. It really is that feeling of joy that I felt that day, partially being in the courtroom and understanding that they had ruled in our favor and knowing that John's and my marriage couldn't be erased.
Obergefell v. Hodges was back in the headlines 3 years ago when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. In a concurring opinion, Justice Clarence Thomas called on the court to revisit other precedents, including the Obergefell decision.
Nothing is safe. We had 2 strong pillars that supported the Obergefell decision. One was substantive due process, and one was equal protection. And the Dobbs decision really undercuts the substantive due process rationale.
Roe was precedent for almost 50 years. Obergefell's coming up on 10. And when you lose one right, every right is at risk.
10 years after leading the fight for nationwide marriage equality, Jim's life looks much different.
And I think, like a lot of people, the pandemic made me rethink where I wanted to be and where I wanted to live. And I realized I missed my family.
So he moved back to his hometown, Sandusky.
Oh, that's the last one I think I have, Rosé the Riveter.
Ah, that's a good one. He co-founded a wine brand that supports equality organizations. And in between speaking engagements where he shares his and John's love story, the man who made marriage a reality for so many will occasionally preside over a wedding.
I always reference the case, and I always incorporate the last page from Justice Kennedy's decision, because it's a beautiful piece of writing. And it seems like almost like it's a law now that every wedding must include that last page.
Do you know the last page by heart?
No union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than once they were. As some of the petitioners in these cases demonstrate, marriage embodies a love that endures even past death.